on June 1st, I engaged in something called Hypocrisy Watch, right? Which was, I wanted to see how many people were going to be hypocrites, how many people had taken the Saudi bag and were going to do Pride Month. But what really surprised me, guys, was there were two scenarios possible. Scenario one was that they were going to double dip. Scenario two was that what I've maintained, that actually it's going to be Saudi values that are going to win and people aren't going to be celebrating Pride as loudly as they used to. That's winning. Scenario two is winning. And I'm surprised by how much, because I'm going on every day, all of these esports orgs, and I'm looking at their social media, and it's crickets. There's absolutely nothing going on. And it's like, wow, okay. I'm genuinely surprised by how many. So I went, and I wanted to chronicle it on June 1st and see this is what went down. As part of our ongoing coverage of how esports and industry increasingly being taken over by money from the Saudi Arabian state will approach Pride Month in 2024, we should be monitoring the messaging from those who have taken said money. A large part of why the wider community finds the situation so repugnant is that these businesses refuse to publicly own their choices and what those choices say about their core values. It remains a fact that it is fundamentally incompatible to do business with a state entity that would persecute and execute the LGBT community while paying lip service to how much you truly care about the LGBT community. You must pick one, and yet all through June, you will see these companies attempt to double dip, raising money by using the LGBT community for cynical marketing exercises in Western markets while abandoning them overseas in territories where gay and trans rights are non-existent. The real question is whether or not we will see much Pride activity at all from these organizations, which of course begs the further question, what changed? The position they have put themselves in through falsely making claims about what constitutes their core values while taking money that compromises them really doesn't give them a good option. They can remain quiet this June, suggesting that actually all the commentary about how the Saudi Arabian state money won't change them as a business was all lies, or they can give mealy-mouthed support for LGBT causes and be digitally lambasted for the clear, empty gesture that constitutes. Put shortly, choose your profit or your principles. The world can see which you prioritize. And so, Riot Games obviously did it. I point out, I still find it astounding that Riot Games want to promote themselves as kind of like thought leaders in this space, because the reality is what was going on at Riot Games, as we know from the lawsuit settlement they had to pay out, which was about sexual harassment, sexual abuse, sexual discrimination in the workplace. And it affected not just like a handful of women, so you could make an argument it was an outlier. It was thousands, I believe. I think in total it was like a little over 2,000. I could be wrong. It might be 1,000 because there's some crossover in how it was reported. But regardless, in excess of 1,000, let's say. So at that point, it's systemic. And so at that point, I'd probably shut the fuck up about championing anyone's rights. I just all right, okay, my bad. But they can't, right? And so I also mentioned the same week their lead on Valorant put out a strange video saying they were going to increase moderation of people saying mean things on the internet because she was a mother and had a nurturing instinct. As a summary of the Gaia Karen's words, we're going to spy on you more because the mute button just isn't enough. Anyway, their celebrations begin with themed artwork around the words proud and fierce. A good initiative for the artists, to be sure, as it is a huge platform and likely to be seen by many parties. However, I can't help but have that nagging feeling that given Riot decided to rescind their own rules and standards around who can and can't run tournaments just so the Esports World Cup could feature their game, the gesture does seem ultimately performative and hollow. After all, the EWC will be the next big tournament for their game, and given the global format, something of a rarity in the League of Legends ecosystem, it will likely see a huge viewership. What you won't see is any of this artwork, any subsequent in-game content created with rainbow motifs, or indeed any fierceness from staff or competitors when the tournament comes around. I mean, when I think of the word fierce, I don't just think of vamping into a mirror, I think of targeted aggression and bravery. A shame then that Riot have of course been gaslighting their own LGBT employees into thinking a strategic partnership with the Saudi Arabian state is a big win for them. I published leaked Slack communications where figureheads of the Rainbow Rioters stated that by indirectly promoting their values, they were really representing the LGBT community in the MENA region, and added that if players picked canonically queer characters in the video game while in Saudi Arabia, that really made a difference. I'm sure the LGBT civilians in Saudi Arabia will all enjoy applauding a Twisted Fate lock-in from their prison cells. And so, yes, you have to understand they're doing this proud and fierce bullshit and fucking here's rainbow stuff and, you know, heart emojis and Tarek's looking fabulous. And I'll just say this. If you believe in this stuff, why do you, for instance, forbid the use of in-game content that is based around LGBT stuff in certain regions? Why not commit to showing the winner's artwork in Riyadh? Wouldn't that be nice? The Esports World Cup. It's your big tournament, proud and fierce. There's no problems, right? There's no problems, guys. Everyone is welcome. You keep repeating this mantra. Everyone is welcome. So we will be able to show a rainbow flag in Riyadh, of course, right? There wouldn't be a problem with it, guys. We're not saying the Saudi Arabian state is persecuting people. That's nonsense. You know, they have different values. They're a little bit more socially conservative. But, you know, obviously we could hold up a rainbow flag. You know, it's not like Qatar or anything like that, right? So I'm sure we'll see it. But no, of course, we're proud and fierce in America. Right? Proud and fierce in the regions where support for LGBT rights isn't just profitable, it's the fucking mainstream opinion. We're really fighting the good fight. Like, basically, right, when the enemy is an imagined bigot with dungarees with one buckle down and fucking waders on and a MAGA hat saying, I don't like me them gays, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, that's what my preacher say. You fight that imaginary battle in your heads all day fucking long, don't you? You sit there and you fight and you batter that redneck into submission intellectually, and you fucking you do that, right? But when it's a fucking very smart, very articulate, well-educated, super wealthy Saudi Arabian politician or member of the royal family who's offering you bags, fistfuls, unlimited amounts of money to simply shut the fuck up about all that Berkeley rainbow shit, you don't fight that battle intellectually. You've no interest in fighting that battle. None whatsoever. When you're regularly traveling to a country where the state could imprison you for fighting that, you never intellectually do battle. It's just, Trump supporter redneck. He hated the gays, but he's not educated, so I batter him all day in my brain. None of you have any genuine activist spirit. That's what it all boils down to. And by the way, I'm going to show you something so fucking hilarious for the Team Liquid section. It's going to, you are going to howl like fucking drains. No, Sweaty, educate yourself. I don't have time to educate you with source. All of this nonsense. Here's the thing. I'm not going to lie about this. I find it especially repulsive that you were the people that were calling me, an actual member, by the way, of this marginalized fucking community that you use as a shield for your own fucking sick purposes and profit, right? You said I was the bigot. You battered me over there. You said I had no place in esports. You said I wasn't fit to be a panelist at the esports awards. You said I shouldn't be hosting any events. You said I was a Nazi. You said all of this stuff. Well, what up now? What up now that you are in bed with actual theocratic fascists that would fucking murder someone like me? What up now? Anything to say? anything to say at all about it? No. What you will say, you will continue this fucking masquerade where you're the good person because you did beat the imaginary redneck in your brain, didn't you? You're so super smart and so well educated and so progressive, but you won't actually take that intellectual battle in your mind where you're the titan and argue the point with the Saudi Arabian state. You have no interest in doing that. You're instead going to creep away your Slack channel and type out, yeah, but like, what if they lock in Tarek in the pink skin and that? Then we've done it. We've killed homophobia right there because he says, fabulous, in a silly voice, which, by the way, is kind of problematic, but let's not think about it. You are clowns. Like, I see through you. And by the way, I'm going to fucking, it's not just a June thing. I'm going to humiliate you every single fucking day. I'm never shutting up about this. Right then, Heroic, feisty no more. Right? Now, Heroic's historical approach to Pride Month has been to inflame the sensibilities of bigots, which is something I totally approve of. For instance, on June 1st of last year, they posted, Happy Pride Month, gamers. You see what they did there? They put a Y in. Right? See what they did there. And then did a follow-up showing a classic meme of that guy who really just wanted a hug. Sometimes a gentleman just really want to hug or something and he's crying. Homophobic CS players in the replies when they see Heroic has a rainbow logo. A reply in June also said, want to have gay sex to piss him off in response to the Opera GX corporate account. And after Pride Month had ended, they asked, is it illegal to kiss your homies now that Pride Month is over on the 1st of July? By the way, those links there, all archived tweets. Can't delete them now, my friend. Which prompted a reply from NIP that they were still here for it. NIP are also part of the Esports World Club program. So let's see about that later. Heroic. This is what they posted this June 1st. It started with, sorry I'm late, I was having gay sex. Now, by the way, right, on the one hand, let me tell you a little bit about where pride culture comes from. And as somebody who's been around and was in what used to be the LGB society, I've talked a lot. If you go and look at my review of the Dave Chappelle special, I talk a lot about how one of the first problems that really happened for the gay movement, but also for the trans movement, was we all got othered, lumped in together, and so there wasn't a network of support for trans people because a lot of people, well, first of all, the gay community, the LGBT community isn't monolith. There are a lot of people who don't get along in those groups. It's like the lesbians don't like the gays and some gays don't like the lesbians because the lesbians say to the gays, they go, oh, but you're still a man. You're still a man, so you're still enjoying the patriarchy because you've got lesbian feminists. And then those gays go, what are you talking about? You don't get queer bashed on a weekend. In fact, straight guys jerk off to you when you're being gay. So fuck you. And then the bis walk in the room. What's up, brothers and sisters? Fuck you. You can present as straight. So that's what you get, right? And then the trans people came into the room and said, society told me this is the place where we can get some help. And everyone in the room who was already arguing with everyone else is going, and look, I hate to say it, there is an aspect, there's gay guys that don't necessarily sort of like being lumped in with male to female transgenders because of the stereotypes they've had to historically go over. There are a lot of women, TERFs they're called obviously now, that don't believe that because a man transitions into being female they should have access to female spaces, that somehow it doesn't count. It is a it is a patchwork of so many different ideologies, beliefs, views. And so anyway, historically, the reason it holds together as a coalition is because the one thing we have in common is that society will, like, whatever you say about us and our arguing with each other, society out there hates us more, right? In a broader sense. And so that is how the coalition historically held together, right? We used to sit in a room and sometimes literally in meetings, listen, whatever we think about each other and where this is going to go, they fucking hate us more. So, like, I don't know, maybe we'll vote on each other's shit, right, when it comes up. And that's that. And that's how it held. That's the only reason it held, probably, if we're being honest about it. I mean, I was there. I watched it. As I said, I was in the LGB society before it was the LGBT. And then, as I said, you will notice when I talk about it, I don't go QIA 2+ spirit animal. I don't do all that. It's like nah. There's a lot of that is like kinks and bullshit. I'm not about that, right? Like I'm them old school Stonewall LGBT society. That's where I'm at. So anyway, part of pride culture, okay, is that because we've historically gone through all of that prejudice and all of that stuff, and we've ultimately been lumped in with each other and other. So what we used to do is, we used to have pride festivals, and it was about saying something inflammatory to society. I mean, pride back in the day, the reason we called it pride is because society tried to push you down, and so we were saying, no, we're proud of who we are. You're not going to fucking do that to us. And so the idea of participating in a pride parade was an act of bravery that could see you get fired. If you worked as a teacher and you were there, got seen at a pride festival, not only, by the way, would you be fired, though in Britain there was legal framework to justify that firing. Like we had to fight and push back against all of that stuff. We really had to fucking, work hard to kind of get any form of space for any public display of anything relating to gay culture. It was, as I said, an act of bravery. Now, not so much. Now, it's just a carnival of like people who don't really understand the historic struggles, don't understand why it's called pride, kind of wanting to almost participate in what is normalized in society now anyway. For me, it's lost a lot of its allure, but the whole point of pride was to be inflammatory and was to get in people's face a little bit, right? That was the point of it. And so when I see someone like saying, sorry, I'm late, I was having gay sex, I sort of understand where they're coming from in terms of spiritually, that was the kind of inflammatory thing people would do. Spoiler, by the way, the very, very ultra straight Hells Angels in the book Hells Angels by Hunter S. Thompson, they used to talk about how when they would go to like normie areas of like bars and stuff, they would all make out with each other just because it used to upset people, because you've got this big hairy biker and they're French kissing each other. And so, because it used to be this like radical act just to be openly gay. So I can kind of fuck with the spirit of this. But here's the problem, right? While Heroic might be imbuing the traditional original pride spirit, saying, sorry, I'm late, I was having gay sex, they couldn't stick the landing this year for some reason. And so they went, oh, sorry, I'm late, I was kissing one of my homies. Now, by the way, kissing your homies, that's not even gay. I'm just putting that out there. Who kiss the homies all the time? Who doesn't? Kiss you on the cheek, see you later, bud. Nothing gay about that. Like, you have to be really fucking insecure if you can't kiss like another man on the cheek or something without, oh shit, no, am I gay? Like, you have to, like, you literally have to be, you've got some therapy you got to fucking get through, blood. So kissing the homies ain't gay. Yeah, exactly. By the way, in some cultures, you try not to kiss your homies. Like, I used to hang around with fucking Greeks and Italians at university. Like, listen, the homies be kissing. Like, that's just how that is. Like, you can't get away without a kiss. Like, that's that. Like, a kiss when you greet, a kiss when you leave. You say something hilarious, someone might stand up and fucking get you by the cheeks and give you a fucking kiss on the lips. I fucking love you, so funny. Mwah. Like, everyone's kissing all the fucking time. All the homies are kissing. That's how that is. But Heroic deleted this. Heroic had to delete kissing the homies. Now, remember earlier in the stream, YouTubers, I'm wearing the Dawn of the Dead t-shirt, so you'll be able to do it. By the way, lots of compliments on the Raiders hoodie. It is nice being slightly less fat and getting loads of clothes back. By the way, this is super fucking baggy on me now. I'm skin and bones under here, guys. Yet, the stew cells still say I'm fat. No, I am 230 something pounds. I am fat. Anyway, everyone liked the Raiders hoodie. Gonna wear that again. Wear that more often. Get more hoodies. Maybe hoodies in the new black t-shirts. Who knows? It's not a Zempic. I resent that. I would never take that shit. But anyway, they were competing at Yalla Compass, weren't they? And so maybe, I don't know, what happened, but maybe it's a bad idea to say, I was just having gay sex when your team is in a country where you go to jail or potentially get executed for having gay sex. Oh, and yeah, by the way, on the Ozempic stuff, 100% that's going to be like the next Zantac. No way that shit's good for you. Oh, yeah, sign me up. What do I eat? It's an injection, but then I have to take it regularly and I can't stop it without medical supervision to wean me off. And it paralyzes my stomach temporarily so I don't process food, so I don't feel... Yeah. Fucking see you in the lawsuit, motherfuckers. See you in the lawsuit. That's giving you all cancer or fucking some new breed of super AIDS or something. I don't fucking know. But miss me with that shit. Miss me with that shit. Also, you don't have to look like Lizzo. Come on. Is it worth it? No, of course it isn't. Ridiculous. So, maybe it's a bad idea to even say you're kissing your homies in a culture that very much does not kiss the homies, right? So, that's what they did, and then it got deleted. I tweeted and asked them why, but received no response as of yet, so I can only theorize that maybe they simply won't support pride causes this month. Or maybe it's because their team will be competing in the United Arab Emirates for a share of $400,000 in the Compass Abu Dhabi tournament. Given that the UAE has a similar approach to criminalising LGBT rights as their Saudi Arabian counterparts, maybe Heroic decided to pump the brakes on exactly how many homies get kissed ahead of their attendance. So, now, this is Team Liquid. Call-out culture is bad now. Team Liquid baffle me. They've been incredibly vocal on their championing of LGBT rights in the past, for instance, following a letter being written by Texas Governor Greg Abbott where he reminded the Office of the Attorney General that sex change procedures constitute child abuse under existing Texas law. Team Liquid's co-CEO Steve Arhansett tweeted, "We head to Texas this week. I'm proud of our team and I can't wait to see our fans IRL who are in attendance for a League of Legends event. But I can't just ignore the ongoing and atrocious actions of local leadership towards the LGBTQ plus community, trans community and women. Gonna do our part to help." This is great and I love this energy. But since then, Team Liquid has become more and more entwined with the Saudi Arabian state. We can all talk about the various implications of competing in ESL Faceit Group events and attending the Esports World Cup. Indeed, the other co-CEO, Victor Goosens, has publicly explained that reality is being effectively a necessary evil if they want to attract top competitors to the Team Liquid banner. However, it's another for the organisation, one of the world's largest and most successful, one I would even go so far as to say is one of the best run in history, to accept a stipend of Saudi state money for no other purpose except to expand their operations. And there it is what they tweeted out. First of the month, pinch, punch, first of the month. You see, I'm sad to inform Mr. Arhansett that conditions for LGBT people in Saudi Arabia might very well be considered worse than atrocious. By the way, he references this in his statement today. And so I have to wonder about commitment to the cause overall. As I've said repeatedly, it's clear that bigotry exists in the US. It's far from a mainstream position, and even when there are legislative backslides, activism against those are not punishable by the state due to the many protections afforded everyday Americans. This is not true of your new business partners now, no matter where you believe they may be within 10 years. They've been among the biggest disappointments for me personally, as on the one hand, they have given money to charitable causes, something they seem to believe is Robin Hood shit based on Twitter likes, but then have monetized those statements using hashtags designed to promote events in Riyadh. So I don't know which way they would go this year, or rather I didn't, but little seemed to have changed. They announced a competition called Showcase Your Pride, where people get to decorate a mural and submit their entries, with the best being displayed at a later date. In jest, I tweeted out the winner would be displayed during the Esports World Cup in Riyadh, which of course it won't. This is because despite all the statements trying to convince you of sweeping reform, recently state operatives confiscated toys and clothing that incorporated rainbow designs. The replies to the competition, even prior to my own, were pointing out the hypocrisy of the promotion. They got absolutely cooked in the fucking replies, guys. And as I said in my initial article, this truly will be the June where people put their foot down about this performative slacktivism bullshit that takes the genuine concerns of a marginalized community and turns them into cheap marketing tactics. However, for some reason, this prompted a public response from the senior managing editor, who had, of course, concluded that I was, in fact, the real problem. And anyway, the exchange does go on for some time, and here it is. This is, you can see, Team Liquid, is that Pliff or Pliff, I believe it's pronounced maybe. Hey Richard, I'm queer. I do a lot of Pride stuff at TL. I can't change the Esports World Cup stuff. Given we have a board and investors to answer to, none can. I do this work to offset the negative effect of Saudi Arabia. What does it do to shit talk our Pride efforts other than make Pride worse? So, I mean, look, this exchange went on for a while. I don't know if I want to show you the full thing. And by the way, as always, I'll just reiterate, don't go and tweet at this person. I'm very resolute in my views, and I believe I'm completely 100% right on this one. But many a fanatic and lunatic has felt that way. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe I'm definitely wrong. I don't know. Maybe this tactic isn't fair on people like this who are cogs in a machine. It's tough. But I'll just say this. Over the course of the exchange, it did become abundantly clear, and given that this person has made tweets about how I'm problematic in some way in the past, it's pretty clear that they're giving themselves a pass. And that's ultimately what a lot of it boils down to. That, look, if you're not willing to leave the company you work at, then yes, nothing will change because the company gets to say, oh, it's just nothing we can do. It's the investors, it's the board. Ask yourself this. Why does Team Liquid have investors and board members that wouldn't be similarly outraged at working with the Saudi Arabian state? Kind of weird, right? Seems to me that you would only align with people that share your core values because they're your core values. Nobody forced you to say they were your core values. You didn't have to disclose what your core values are. You're essentially a business. Do you even have values? Well, we can see you don't, but do I need to know about them if you do? It's weird, isn't it? Because, as I said, this is an American thing. This is American bullshit where it's like, oh no, we're a corporation, but we must appear good to the people. So here's Colin Kaepernick on a shoe, and here's fucking Stephen Colbert on an ice cream. And don't think too much about what actually goes on behind the curtain. And that's what they've been doing in America. And every company has, our human rights and diversity goals. And then they go and do business with the Saudi Arabian state. And they think because you're a fucking idiot, you won't be able to grasp that there's a rank hypocrisy at play here. And so the thing I'm really tired of is fucking Americans beating me over the head with what their core values are, these big companies. Your core values making money. You've been hiding behind the term fiduciary duty to shareholders to justify all sorts of evil and atrocious actions for the past 10 years. The gig is up. And in esports, people have awoken. You literally do have two schools of esports fans now. Okay, three. You've got the ones who are too dumb to understand what's going on. I mean, that's probably the majority if we're honest about it. That's fine. You've got the ones who see it for what it is and are calling you out all the time now and will do until the end of esports. As long as you keep running this fucking shell game about we're a good corporation, but actually we've got bad partners and they make us do bad things. And what can I do? I am but one person. Yeah, never try to change anything then because you're just one person. And what's the point? And by the way, it's really tough. Trying to change things for good is really hard, isn't it? Especially when you have to sacrifice stuff. And that was another part of this, which I was like, oh, it's so disappointing. So the next tweet was this. I'm the managing editor. The hell am I supposed to do any more than a caster or player? MBS sees this thing you're doing as a huge win for him. It just demoralizes Pride efforts and makes it harder to be queer at Team Liquid more than anything. So let's be clear about what they're saying here. They are saying, first of all, they're powerless because of the job they hold. Well, again, I contend, and this might be my ego talking, I think I've made a difference this June. I know for a fact I've seen sponsor logos disappear off certain orgs. I've had managers reach out to me in a tizzy saying, why are you contacting our sponsors? I have got enough people now to make you see the folly of what you're doing. Right, and I'm gonna keep going with it all June. There's more to come. I'm writing an article about the Team Liquid stuff we're gonna get to in a moment. But how can you possibly think that what I'm doing is making it harder for queer people? Do you know what's making it harder for queer people? Your employer working with the Saudi Arabian state. The only reason there's a quandary, there's a paradigm is your employer has put you in this position where they are literally going to you, listen, you're going to get cooked in the retweets, but can you just put out the Pride promotion this month? What you're supposed to say in that moment is, but you're working with the Saudi Arabian state. And you are meant to feel uncomfortable about that. It's not me. I didn't make this decision. I didn't want any of this. I didn't want state money of any kind being poured into fucking esports. P.S. If the US government came out, if Donald Trump gets re-elected in November and says, and we're going to run a beautiful esports tournament, guys. We're going to have the best esports tournament. It's going to be state money, and we're going to fund a team, and we're all like, I'm going to call that out. And you think I support him. And then I said, listen, you should probably consider leaving. Which I don't think I'm being ridiculous here. Maybe. And then this is what it always comes down to. Say I did leave, I'm transitioning, and my healthcare here is vital to that. Marketing and esports work that's in right now doesn't feel simple to me. I'm just asking you to apply the same empathy you would to the casters you've worked with as to queer staff in orgs. I'll tell you what, go ask Sponge about my famous empathy on this issue. What this is, guys, this is called giving yourself a pass. I need the money from Team Liquid, right? Team Liquid's money is coming from the Saudi Arabian state, and my job requires me to pump out corporate, hypocritical propaganda for my employers. But I really need those medical benefits. So I'm going to just put it, again, all the qualifiers. I don't think it's fair that that's happening to you. I hate the way American companies, basically because of how fucked up healthcare is in America, they hold you hostage. You can't walk away from jobs you hate because it's not that you can't get another one, or it's not that you need the money, it's that you need the healthcare. That doesn't feel like a particularly great system to me in the land of the free. But again, I'm going to say this. Yes, unfortunately, if you want to make a difference, sacrifices have to be made. And I don't want to fucking harp on about me. But let's just go over what's happening to me, okay? Right now, as I'm doing this. I won't bore you with the death threats. I won't bore you with that. Who cares? I get death threats for saying 0.88 isn't a very good fucking HLTV rating, let alone talking about the state. I won't bore you with how it's greatly limited my employment capacity. I made that choice. But as more and more of Saudi Arabia has took over more and more of the industry, here's where I'm at today, right? Here's the reality. I can never work a big ESL event. I obviously can't work the Esports World Cup. Wouldn't do it. Pretty soon, I can't. Well, as of now, I can't win an esports award ever again. My work can never be recognised, and it's going to be all of the media shills that are writing up puff pieces about Saudi Arabia is good now and they drive now and doing all the fucking excuses. Right? They're going to win the awards now because Saudi control those awards, so I can never win another award. And and also certain sponsors won't touch me. That's another reality. Certain sponsors won't sponsor this type of content. Me talking about this. Right? So loads of money gone, just gone. Loads of opportunity gone. Chance to be relevant gone. Working fucking big events gone. I have to live in a world now where people are going, you don't get invited to events. Millions of gremlins. They don't understand I wouldn't work those events. They can't conceptualize of it because they only look through the lens of the clout goblin. So that's one thing. Let's start also with, I'm an absolute pariah over this. Friends, like team owners I've known for years, disgusted at my actions. Players have said, why are you trying to hurt my team, man? Why are you trying to take sponsors from my team, man? Here's the other thing. Blacklisted, of course. Blacklisted. Can't go to ESL events even as a guest, can't be in the orbit, can't be in the periphery. People who work those events are now being told, by the way, if you associate with the very small outlier group that criticizes Saudi, and this is true, they're being told, if you associate with these people over here who are criticizing us, me being one of them, we're not going to hire you. So once again, now there's pressure being put on my friends and my colleagues to disassociate from me like I'm the bad guy. And this is all happening. I'm not talking about it. I'm not crying about it. I'm not talking about how difficult it is. and it doesn't feel simple. I'm doing this. I think it's right. I think it's the right thing to do. I even know, by the way, it's a losing battle. Let me also tell you about that. A principle the modern day slacktivist doesn't get. I am literally walking into a losing battle. It can only hurt my career. It can only hurt my finances, right? It can only make people disassociate from me, and ultimately it will change nothing. Saudi will still own all of esports when I am dead on the battlefield, right? But I'm doing it anyway because it's the right thing to do, right? It feels like somebody should say something. Somebody should try and make a difference. I am not saying, but I really need the money. I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got healthcare I've got to pay a mortgage. I need healthcare. I need money to live. Why is it okay for you, the slacktivist, but I can't make any excuses? You know, by the way, and I'll bring this up just briefly. I needed money when I worked at Breitbart for 6 months. Breitbart has never beaten a confession out of a teenager and then executed them. Breitbart has never thrown a gay person off a building. Breitbart has never engaged in the largest mass executions condemned by Amnesty International. Breitbart never gunned down Ethiopians at the border. And when I took that job, guess fucking what? I needed the money. Any of y'all give me a pass for that? Nah, I didn't fucking think so. I didn't think I get a pass for that. No, Richard, you're working for evil people. It is a neo-Nazi website. Doesn't matter how many denunciations I give. Doesn't matter how many times I apologized. Didn't matter how many times I said I regretted ever taking the job. Never gave me a fucking inch of mercy or quarter. You beat me into the ground with that every day 10 years fucking later. And I am supposed to forgive you for working with people that enable the Saudi Arabian state and engage in fucking sports washing and fucking covering up human rights abuses because life is complicated for you. No, there is no quarter on this, guys. There simply isn't. So, next up, I won't bore you with the full exchange. It went on for some time. The final conclusion was me bad, Saudi Arabian state business complicated. What can I do? I am but a person. So, let's skip to this one. This is brilliant. I've got to put my headphones on for this one. I'm about to play you something hilarious. We've reached the hilarious part of this ring. But I'm going to prove to you how ridiculous these people are. This is Senior Vice President of Brand Marketing and Content at Team Liquid. And she felt compelled to post this. There are people, this is all about me, who would like to see esports teams stop supporting the LGBT plus community. They say we're conflicted, that we can't compete in the Esports World Cup and still be an ally. But to stop doing either forces an illogical and impossible choice. We support Pride Month. It's who we are. So, this is classic American corporate dishonest fucking framing where, first of all, you take something no one has said. Where did anyone say stop supporting pride causes? Where did anyone say that was an option on the table, by the way? What we're saying is, if you're going to do the Saudi thing, shut the fuck up about the pride thing. You can still give privately if you really feel strongly about it. What you can't do, you can give to charities, you can do fundraisers. What you can't do is this fucking hippy-dippy, rainbow, we love the gays, globo homos here, guys. All of this nonsense that you're doing, right? Putting it all out, public, front and center, when we know what you're doing behind the scenes is empowering a government, no less, that would execute the same people you are trying to draw into your orbit as fans to hoover money out of their pockets. That is all you're doing with this. That is all this ever was, by the way. But listen, when it raises awareness and when it makes people feel more welcome, that's fine. I don't mind it. It's always been a cynical bullshit corporate exercise, right? But I don't want you to stop it because it's good. It's good if gay people go, oh, that scary esports place, mate, bully me because I'm gay. And then they see Team Liquid going, no, we love the gays. Come here. And they go, oh, wow, that's great. Now imagine how they feel when they go, oh, what's this Esports World Cup my favourite team are playing at? Where's it being held? Can I go? Can me and my boyfriend go? No, you fucking can't. So don't frame it dishonestly. And by the way, look at this. They say we're conflicted. You absolutely are. It is the definition of being conflicted, by the way. You are business partners with a state that holds none of your core values. And then, to stop doing either forces an illogical, impossible choice. Why is it impossible to simply not go to the Esports World Cup? Ladies and gentlemen, I ask anyone, if anyone can explain it to me, why is it impossible? Impossible! Impossible! Why is it impossible to not attend? Why is it impossible? Of course it isn't impossible. It's very fucking possible. In fact, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. It would literally cost you nothing except the projected future earnings. It doesn't take anything that you've already got. It's just stuff you would get, but that's too much. Future money now is too much to give up for genuine allyship and activism. And by the way, let's drop the word fucking ally. It's gross. It's pathetic. I'm going to play the card. I'm in the fucking alphabet club. We're sick of that word. Do you know what an ally is? An ally is someone that temporarily comes in with you for a common shared goal. That's what an ally is. But an ally isn't your friend. An ally isn't your family. An ally isn't your lover. In fact, an ally is quite a cold, distant political relationship. So no, I don't want you to be my fucking ally. And I don't want to be your ally. You're either in or you're fucking out. That's how it works. So again, you American Berkeley set fucking morons who've hijacked this movement, pumped it full of poisonous, toxic language. We're getting rid of it all, guys. I am sick of it. But anyway, let me just show you how hilariously hypocritical Josie D. Brown is. Because, and this will be popping up in an article later, she used to work at Hulu, right? And you probably see that there on a bio. I think it used to say former at Hulu, but anyway, whatever. And so I do want to just show you something that she did. She did lots of stuff while she was at Hulu. This is the Culture Lab at Hulu. This is from her own personal webpage showing a portfolio of projects that she worked on, right? And I think you'll immediately be able to intuit something about this person's politics just by looking at that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not, right? But I want to take you to this, right? This is the Women's Equality Monument Project.
In the US, there's only 394 public sculptures of women. There are 4,799 of men. I think we decided that we had to change the presence of women in those public spaces.
Just play that back.
In the US, there's only 394 public sculptures of women. There are 4,799 of men. I think we decided that we had to change the presence of women in those public spaces. Last year, for a single day, we put up the number of statues that it would take for there to be equal number of female and male statues in that city. It really worked.
Right. So this is the Women's Equality Monument Project that she worked on. And I don't know. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Wouldn't it be weird having a country that doesn't lionize women, right? Wouldn't that be weird? Like sexist almost, you might say. And yet she seems oblivious to the realities of Saudi Arabia. I mean, I would love to know how many statues of women there are in Saudi Arabia. I mean, put it this way. You're talking about, let's have an equal number of statues, right? Well, I dare you to fucking go and look at how many executives there are, or how many politicians there are, or all these other important luminaries, these people that work in a functioning society, and go and look at how many of them are actually women in Saudi Arabia. I don't know. Let's talk about, conservatorship and all this other bullshit. We can drive now. I guess that's the win. I can't wait for the next project you're working on. They can drive now. A Team Liquid special brought to you by Josie Brown. This is what I mean about this. These values only exist in the borders of America and Europe. No, they will not take one step outside of that comfortable fucking area and champion them in China, in fucking Russia. Not that anyone's doing that ever again. In the Middle East, they won't do it. They won't do it. And so, look, that is so fucking hilarious to me, that how the mighty have fallen there. That you were doing all this like, yeah, we're going to go get the patriarchy. And now you are literally caping for an actual fucking patriarchy, a theocratic fascist patriarchy on Twitter, and saying it's impossible. We just simply, we simply can't walk away from them. We simply can't. Are you fucking dizzy? Like, you think this is going to work on anyone? You think I'm going to start fucking biting into an onion like it's an apple? It doesn't work. The hypnosis fucking raid doesn't work. I can see the fucking dog shit tumbling out of your mouth. This is what you really believe, by the way. That fucking video. That's what you really believe. So why aren't you fighting for women in Saudi Arabia? By the way, as we'll also get to. Because one of the lies that they fucking are about to tell you in today's videos, they're going to tell you, we're making progress. We're taking strides in the right direction. It's impossible for us not to go there. Right? It's impossible for you not to go to a country that did this in May. May this year. Not 10 years ago, not 5 years ago, not 2 years ago. May this year. This is Manahel al-Otaibi. You'll see lots about her, no doubt, in the news. This is a Saudi woman's rights activist that was jailed for 11 years in May. Her crimes, she was arrested under anti-terrorist laws, and her crimes include dressing immodestly and speaking out against the conservatorship rules in laws in Saudi Arabia. Now, maybe, Jody, you could get her a statue, yeah? Yeah, maybe. Oh, no, you're caping for the regime that fucking locked her up. Fuck off. Miss me with that shit, American. Miss me with it. Miss me with this fake saccharine corporate bullshit. Miss me with it. You can see here, she was initially accused of violating the anti-cybercrime law, including opposing the laws relating to women, such as the male guardianship system and the hijab law, participating in several hashtags opposing these laws. You can see she's really gone too far here with the hashtags, having several photos and video clips in indecent clothes on social media accounts, and going to the shops without wearing an abaya, photographing this and publishing it on Snapchat. This is, by the way, is what constituted a crime in Saudi Arabia. That picture there of her in dungarees and a t-shirt, and that was May. So I don't want to hear about the progress and how it's impossible for you not to attend, because as I've said repeatedly, right, why can't let's historically apply that energy to apartheid South Africa. South Africa, again, some of the Zoomers won't even know, but this was like in my lifetime. Apartheid happened in South Africa, where black people and white people were not treated equally in their country. And South Africa didn't really have a lot going for it, unlike Saudi Arabia. It didn't have a pile of infinite money, but it did have lots of verdant, luscious land, lots of farms, and so obviously it was a big deal in the food supply chain, fruit especially. What did people do all around the world, right? They boycotted it. And it didn't just stop with people stopped buying fruit and food. Government stopped giving them aid and said, as long as there's apartheid, as long as you don't treat black people and white people the same, and there's an official government mandate to do that, you will not be part of the international community. We will simply not allow it, right? And then it spilled over into sports. And all of the sports washing they tried to do, people didn't go. I don't want to hear how it's impossible, because it literally happened in my fucking lifetime. And it worked. Here it is. Here's what you won't do. Here's what you tell me is impossible. It's right fucking there. I want you to look at the concerted effort made across all sports, the Olympics, the Paralympics, the Commonwealth Games, athletics, boxing, chess, cricket, golf, motorsports, rugby, football, surfing, table tennis, tennis. It weren't just a handful of organisations. It was entire sporting communities. And you're going to go, oh, but Richard, no bag involved. What? It's fucking sports. Sports is just a byproduct of a bag being exchanged somewhere along the line. So I want you all to know, by the way, all of you, and I mean fucking all of you executives, all you Team Liquid, all you esports executives saying it's complicated and it's impossible. If you had been around in apartheid era South Africa, black people and white people would literally still be divided and you would be making excuses for it. That is who you are, you fucking scumbags. Don't ever, ever, ever be fooled about who you are when you look in the mirror. If the money was going into your bank account, you would say it was good. And so we get to today, where just when you think it can't get more ridiculous, and by the way, as I said, there were Team Liquid staffers. Some pleb on fucking Twitter had said, "Oh, it's like Robin Hood shit, taking Saudi money and putting it into gay causes." And there were employees from Team Liquid like liking that. Whatever you have to tell yourselves, guys. I'm not doing it. You like yourself as much as you fucking want. But let's start with, I asked them for an official response on the record for my articles, and they told me, no, there's not going to be an official response to you, but we are going to do one in the next few days. It's going through legal and whatnot. And so, I would say in no small part I helped prompt this response. But it's more of the same, right? And again, I want to make it abundantly clear, I like Victor. Me and Victor have been very candid with each other about this topic. I've even said to him in a moment of dark despondency, because this is a pretty fucking lonely, miserable road to walk down, that, I'm getting people threatening my life, threatening to murder me, and the general esports fan not only doesn't care, but actually is going to They put it this way. They attack me with the passion of 1,000 suns for saying a player they don't like didn't play very well at a tournament, and they will do nothing about any of this. So, literally, I'm under no illusions. It's a waste of time, but it is the right way to waste my time.
Talk to you about a difficult topic, namely our participation in the Esports World Cup in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. As you might know,
no hashtag this time, at least, so it's an improvement.
Last year, we made a statement as well, in which we explained our reasons for participating, as well as expressed our concerns with regard to the human rights track record of and in Saudi Arabia. Today, we would like to do something similar, although with an updated perspective that might be slightly more nuanced. So, why does Team Liquid participate? It is our mission to be a generational global sports brand. And for that, we are going to need three things. We need competition and competitive success. We need fandom, and we need the commercialization of the aforementioned two in order to do everything in a sustainable way. And when it comes to the Esports World Cup, for most of our teams and players, this is either the most important or second most important event of the year. And for a period of 2 months, the Esports World Cup is the center point of esports, representing all the facets of what makes Team Liquid relevant in this space. I do want to make it clear that our participation is our decision to make as a management team. That responsibility falls on our shoulders and not the players. That said, even though we believe it is safe, if anyone at Team Liquid feels differently or feels uncomfortable for whatever reason, they don't have to participate and they will have our full support as well.
Just on this note as well, one of the things I hate is the argument now has become, we believe it's safe. You're going to see a lot of this. Like, it's safe, guys. It's safe for us. What if I'm just disgusted at what the Saudi Arabian government does to its own people? What if I just feel that way? Do I have to invoke safety? Now, listen, I'll just also add, by the way, spoiler, I've yet to meet a player that feels really strongly about, well, no, tell a lie. One. I've met exactly one esports player that has come to me and been like, yeah, I hate all this shit, and I don't know what to do. I'm even thinking about quitting playing over it. Right? So we're not even like sports in the sense that no player would make a stand for this. There's no Muhammad Ali coming out on this one. No one's willing to go to jail for a principle in our sport. Fuck no. They're going to spend 3 months in Qadiyah every fucking year. But why does it have to be about safety? Why can't I have a moral objection?
We can play with a stand-in, and we will continue to pay everyone's salary no matter what. Of course, these are not easy decisions to make for teams and players. We're all part of a larger system. Players might have allegiances towards their teammates. The events we participate in, the points we gain, they contribute to other opportunities during the year. And of course, I recognize and we recognize that a player might feel an obligation towards an organization such as ours when we say we would like to participate. With that in mind, this past year, we've set out to learn as much as possible.
Now, get ready for this. This more than any other part, and like people were DMing me this like fucking crazy, but more than any other part, this blew my mind. This actually blew my mind.
To educate ourselves as much as we can to develop thoughts and form opinions. And in that process, we've spoken to lots of different parties. We've spoken to human rights organizations, such as Amnesty International, Out Leadership, entities that operate in the region, such as the U.S. Embassy.
Did they say anything, Victor, mate? What did they say? What did Amnesty International say about the Saudi Arabian state, right? That gave you peace of mind. Because let me just read you. This is, if you don't know the Amnesty International website, they have like, for all the countries that are considered human rights abusers, they have like a page and they update it. The most recent report, let's just say, for example, women and girls' rights. Women continue to face discrimination in law and practice, including in matters of marriage, divorce, child custody, and inheritance. Mentions Manahel al-Otaibi, who is charged with defaming the kingdom at home and abroad, calling for rebellion against public order and society's traditions and customs, and challenging the judiciary and its justice, and was imprisoned for 11 years. We've got all the issues with the migrant workers over there, where, by the way, migrants from Nepal who've been contracted to work in like warehouses were all subject to human rights abuses. And of course, we've got all of the unfair trials where basically the government just fits you up any way they see fit. And that's before we even get into the gay rights stuff. So the crazy thing is, if you go and read the most recent report on the Amnesty International website, they're not telling you it's cool. They're not telling you it's okay. They're not saying they drive now.
We've talked to local organizations and members of the LGBTQ community who live on locations.
What did they say? Did you have to talk to them in private by any chance, mate?
Conversations with women who participate in the workforce in Riyadh. And of course, all of this has led to lots and lots of internal dialogue and conversations about all of these topics. And as a part of that work, we want to call out the human rights track record of Saudi Arabia, as we think it's ever important to speak about this. There's 4 areas that we would like to highlight in this video. There's the lack of political freedom, and maybe more importantly, the limitations to what you can or cannot say on topics pertaining to the country. There's challenges with regards to migrant workers who deserve far more protections than they receive. And of course, something similar can be said for the LGBTQ community as well.
Really? Something similar? They're not afforded protection? It's fucking criminalized. What are you talking about? When they did that mass execution, they fucking killed 6 people for just being gay. Some of whom had confessions beaten out of them. I think it's a bit worse than that, mate.
And then there are the challenges with regards to gender equality. The history on these topics is not a pretty one. And so...
Jump cut there. Right, reframe it.
You might ask then, why does Team Liquid participate?
It is a good question.
And the answer to that is unfortunately not a simple one.
Oh.
We believe that if Team Liquid does not participate in the largest and most influential events in our space, especially one that lasts a duration of 2 months, that over time we cannot be a top-tier organization within esports. And that is not a decision that we're going to make.
So ultimately now we know, okay, no matter what happens historically in the future, right, Mecha Hitler comes back, right, tries to take over the world again, but, you know, he takes over the Olympics and there's an esports division. We know Team Liquid will be there because obviously, look, what can we do? We have to fucking... We are never going to make any decision that prevents us from being a top-tier esports brand. Oh, all right then. That's that then. There's never going to be anything that can happen between now and the end of Team Liquid where they will ever make a choice where to boycott an event. All right, cool. Great. Glad we fucking see you. Okay. Cool. I'm actually glad. I'm glad for the clarity for that, because that is the most instructive part of all of this. It's a decision we will never make under any circumstances. Right? So, okay, cool. Good to know.
We believe it's not even a decision that we can or should be making. I also want to add to that.
Can't even do it. Their hands are just tied.
In all of the conversations that we've had with human rights organizations, we have discussed the concept of boycotting. And we've discussed the concept of Team Liquid participating. And every single one of them said, do not boycott. If you boycott, you will lose your voice over time.
Just like I said, the biggest lie ever told. What voice, mate? What voice? And there's no way, by the way, there's no way any credible human rights organization said, yeah, boycotts don't work. There's no way. I'm just showing you the history. They do. There's just simply, I cannot believe that. I don't believe for a second Amnesty International, who routinely calls for boycotts on their website, said to you, yeah, listen, if you boycott, then you lose your voice, your super influential voice. Here's something for you, mate. You can't use your voice when your mouth is stuffed full of fucking dirty dollar bills that MBS stuffs into your mouth with 2 fucking fingers like it's a tea towel fucking holder to shut you the fuck up. You already lost your voice, mate. You lost your voice when you signed the fucking contract. That's how it works. That's why. They're just giving you the money. They don't want anything in return. There aren't explicit clauses in the contracts saying what you can and can't say and that you must promote them. But yeah, definitely, whatever you do, don't boycott things, guys, because boycotts don't work. Spoiler, next week in America, there's going to be some company where a CEO is found out to have donated to Republican causes. Maybe he's pro-life. And they're going to screech about how you can't buy that product. From the people, by the way, that brought you Chick-fil-A is evil. Boycotts don't work. All right, guys. Just fucking miss me. Miss me with it all. Like, the gaslighting on this is fucking insane. Maybe I will actually. That is a great point in the chat. Maybe what I need to do is send an email to Amnesty International asking for their opinions on boycotts and whether they're an effective means of social change. I think that's the next thing. I think I do that tomorrow, right? I think that's actually the next thing that I do. Yeah. I'm on it, right?
And if you are an organization that is willing to speak up and talk about these topics publicly, but also be willing to have a dialogue privately, then you need to be a part of these events, and you need to be a part of the change that is happening in this country.
Oh, here we go. Now, by the way, I'm also writing an article. I started 2 articles simultaneously, which means you never get them finished, but whatever. You think I would learn that by now. But I'm literally writing a primer to the excuses, and I'm going to immortalize They Drive now. It's the top 3 Saudi excuses. And this is the other one, right? Now, remember, I've just shown you how they locked up a woman, right, for saying, I don't want to wear an abaya when I go to shops. I think they're still, I don't want guardianship laws to exist in this country. And this right here is they drive now. Now, that happened in May 2024. He's now about to tell you of all this incredible progress. By the way, the year before, they locked up 2 female students, one for like 35 years, one for 45 years. One of them was a student overseas in the UK, and when she went back to visit her family, they jumped her on the fucking plane, snatched her up, locked her up for 45 years because she tweeted things that were against the Saudi Arabian state while she was in Leeds. Now, that, by the way, that story should absolutely outrage everyone. The government, the British government, should be talking about, hey, if someone is a student from overseas and they're studying in our country, we have grave concerns about when people that we hope are going to, come and be a rich, part of the UK's, rich and diverse populace. We have problems with this. But no, they didn't. Because nobody, by the way, nobody, not even governments, has the stones to talk up about this shit.
I also don't want to hide behind that.
You are hiding.
Because ultimately, as I mentioned, our reasons for participating are clear. And we absolutely do believe that we need to participate. But I do think it's worth mentioning. There's all this talk about boycotting.
Yes.
And ultimately, in our situation, I don't actually believe that will lead to a better world either. Of course, we have our own internal conflict with regards to many of these topics. And
can I just do a thought exercise, by the way? And I'll check in with you guys. I'll check in with the chat. Right. Let's do a thought exercise. So the Esports World Cup comes along. And what the Esports World Cup needs to be successful is it needs all of the top organizations from all across the world to participate, to give it legitimacy, to give it credibility, to give it eyeballs, to make it feel prestigious, and essentially as part of a growth mechanism for anything they might want to do in the future, right? I mean, crucially, we all know that the key metric is always going to be viewership and reach and influence. That's how we do things, because for every fan reached, I mean, it's a pipe dream, but for every fan reached, that's a fan that might potentially spend money on a sponsor's product, on a future endeavor like a pay-per-view or whatever it might be. So I want you to imagine a world, let's do the thought exercise. How fucked is the Esports World Cup if none, and I mean none, of the, let's just even say the top 10 orgs in the world participate? It's pretty fucked, isn't it? It goes from being the biggest life-changing money esports tournament in the world to being, it's just like a fucking little tier 2 thing that's happening over there in Riyadh. Money's crazy. Falcons have won again. So I've ran that thought experiment in my brain a million times. I can't see a world where it can succeed as a project without the buy-in of the top organizations. And so actually, a better world, and also, by not participating, wouldn't you be free to explore other options? You take this unified stand, you make esports look like a place where people have ethics and morals and principles, and they're not just about the bottom line, which is always money and profits, right? And then maybe those teams could go and create their own counter to the Esports World Cup. Hell, be really brave. Run it at the same time and see what people watch and what people participate. And maybe some of your corporate partners, all the ones that have the fucking diversity, inclusion, and human rights pages on their websites, because they really do care about those things. They really, really do. Maybe they could chip in some money, and maybe, hell, we could get a prize pool almost as big as the Saudi bag. What then? What would that say to the Saudi Arabian state then? It would say, a clear line in the sand, no, not everything is for sale, but if you want it, if you want us to participate with you, you must change on these values. The dial has to move in a tangible way. No more locking up women for speaking out about dress code. No more persecuting gay people. You know, you could even put out a performative set of fucking demands that they are never, ever, ever going to acquiesce to. But no, instead, you said boycotting doesn't work. Human rights organizations say boycotting doesn't work. And by the way, if we were to boycott, I don't think it makes a better world for anyone. Not for anyone. It's empty. It's bullshit. And what you said in that moment, and I know you don't mean to say this, Victor, but what you have said, cutting away, hacking away all of the fucking wilderness of rhetoric, nonsense, and word salad. You are saying to the LGBT community, to oppressed women, to Saudi Arabian people persecuted by their government, you are saying ultimately you are not worth boycotting for. That's it. That's the message. Rot in your prison cells, enjoy being stoned, beaten, executed. We wouldn't even not attend a tournament for your lives. That's the message. And maybe you can own that, and that's fine, but you have to own that. Because as I said, the least you could do here is boycott. That is the least. But you won't even do that.
And without a doubt, on all of these topics, there is more work to be done. But having spent time on location and meeting the people from Saudi Arabia, from all kinds of different backgrounds, we also feel that we have an obligation to ourselves and those who are kind enough to spend time with us to call out the progress that we see. And when it comes to
It was May.
this progress, especially on topics pertaining to an esports for all, such as the participation of women and members of the LGBTQ community, the country is heading into a forward direction. That's not something that we say lightly. It is based on our own experience and those of many others that we have spoken to. But we do believe that that is worth highlighting alongside addressing our concerns around human rights. Unfortunately, the world is not the same everywhere on these topics, and the world is not on the same timeline either. But I think recognizing that progress while admitting there's still more work to do is incredibly important. And if we don't recognize that, then what motivation does anyone have to keep going and to keep trying?
They drive now.
I want to add that in all of our conversations with parties in the region, our thoughts and opinions on all of these topics have been met with respect. There's been a dialogue with an interest in learning about our perspective and thoughts, as well as an interest in sometimes sharing a different perspective. But no matter what, these conversations have been approached with a willingness to talk about how a path forward might look like. And partially because of that, we believe that we have a small role to play to ensure that esports is and will be for everyone, regardless of where events take place. And the reality is that only time will tell. And I hope that we are right about this. And it's fine to disagree as well, but this is genuinely what we believe. And we will do our best to make even a little bit of difference, however small that might be. Of course, I understand that this video message is not for everyone. For some, it is too much. And for others, it's not nearly enough. All I can tell you is that this is a path that we believe in, and that we believe that this is a path worth walking. We will continue to have the tough conversations with you and with parties in the region. And it's also true that the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. These are our thoughts as we sit here today, and we wanted to share them with you.
Now, look, one thing I will say, I'll try and put a positive at the end. I mean, at least he had the balls to sit down and spew all that garbage into a camera. No other fucking owner's doing that right now. No other CEO's doing that right now. You know, they're just quietly not celebrating Pride, hoping this all fucking blows over. And it's just so fucking disappointing. Because actually, if there was one org I kind of not believed in, I don't want to say that, but like I knew there was some skin in the game. Now, before we get to Steve Arhenset's follow-up tweet, I will just say Rich's Wrath on Twitter, who, you know, we've done podcasts with him. He's been on the Four Horsemen, other things. He did a parody video of this, which I'll just play for you now.
Hi, I'm Steve from Team Liquid Nitrogen, and I want to talk to you today about some of the feedback that we've been receiving. Now, I know that some of you guys are very concerned about our participation in the Esports Ethnic Cleansing and Human Sacrifice Festival, and I just wanted to assure you guys that there is no crime so bad that we would not be willing to take part for the right amount of money. Now, of course, there have been some safety concerns surrounding our players attending the festival, but after a lot of due diligence, I have been assured by the tournament organisers that they are only currently executing short people, and I have personally measured our players, and they are currently all well over 6 feet tall, so they specifically should be fine. Now, yes, we did do a lot of internal yapping about possibly boycotting the event, but we decided within about the first 30 seconds that we much rather have the money. So we then spent the rest of the meeting yapping about how we should try and justify this decision to you guys. And well, we feel that from directly partnering with the murder squad, perhaps we can influence them in some small way. Like, so they only kill ugly short people, or just people who belong to groups that none of us currently belong to. So we personally feel a lot safer. Anyway, I hope that our participation now makes perfect sense to you. Team Liquid Nitrogen out.
So there you go. And look, much like that article I wrote, how I learned to stop wearing and love the bag. I think it's so ripe for fucking satire, the entire ridiculousness of it all, because there's just an obvious tonal inconsistency between your messaging and your actions, and it's like. Most orgs, by the way, are probably just going to just stop with the pride thing while they're doing this. Right, okay. I mean, listen, not what I would have chose, right? But at least then you aren't using the LGBT community for your own sick, nefarious marketing purposes like that, which, by the way, yes, I do see that as a win. Because I believe performative pride is worse than no pride. At all. I genuinely believe that. I think a lot of the performative stuff basically actually detracts and diminishes from the genuine experiences of LGBT people all around the world. And so for me, yeah, I don't give a fuck if you're all coming out like, and you're doing all of this like for 1 month out of the year because you have this bigotry of low expectations about the LGBT community and think we can be mollified, pacified with some fucking rainbows, you know, once a year. And then you go out and work with states that literally would fucking behead us. Yeah, just, you know, I actually think that's more damaging to LGBT movements around the world than for you not to do that. Also, you generally don't get it right. It's pretty lame, a lot of it. So, you know, like, so just putting that out there. But what I would have liked was for some of these orgs to look themselves in the mirror and have the frank conversation about, you know, money isn't everything. Because I guarantee you, much like we saw with, you know, Critical's esports org, Moist Esports, they said they weren't going to go for Rocket League. They got a lot of praise for it. And how depressing is it that an influencer who's picked up an esports team and has only been in the space for a short period of time has more principles than any of the people that helped build the industry? I think that's a pretty damning indictment right there. So, you know, just food for thought. Now, the Team Liquid stuff obviously didn't stop there, and there was a tweet from the other CEO, Steve Arnset, and this is one that I was very surprised to see, if I'm being honest with you. But we'll read it and we'll get into it. Team Liquid Steve. In my last retweet, Victor explains they retweeted the video we just watched, not the Rich's Wrath one, but the real one, the Victor one. In my last retweet, Victor explains the competitive and commercial considerations that influenced our choice to participate in this year's inaugural Esports World Cup. We've not come to this decision lightly, and the video details our concerns about human rights in Saudi Arabia, the circumstances surrounding progress, and our path forward. Victor also shares our considerations regarding our best chance of effecting change in the role that we can play. If you haven't watched or listened to the video yet, please do, as it describes our shared and unanimous approach for Team Liquid as an organisation. I agree with everything Victor said. Internally, it required a lot of debate and compromise to arrive at a unified stance. After all, this is a deeply conflicting decision for all of us, as we will be accepting money from the Saudi government despite our reservations. However, this is not the moment to hide and stay silent and pretend that things will blow over. Instead, we will face the controversy and discontent that will justifiably come our way and continue to support the causes that are important for Team Liquid. I believe we are making the right decision, all things considered, and I wanted to share my personal perspective and the experiences that shaped it. Saudi Arabia's human rights record is undeniably troubling. That's the same language you used for Greg Abbott writing a letter. By the way, over the past year, I've attempted to better educate myself on this issue and its status today. As part of this process, I and fellow Team Liquid executives have had conversations with women and queer individuals in Saudi Arabia and consulted domain experts at multiple NGOs, such as Amnesty International and Out Leadership. I myself also visited Saudi Arabia for the first time in my own way and not just as part of some trip prearranged for me. While there is still much for me to learn, a recurring theme from these experiences has shaped my opinion. Progress lies in engagement, not isolation. Now, I do want to take you back in time, didn't I? When I said one type of message you will see from some of them is, no, but like, we have to engage with them over there if we ever want to win their hearts and minds. I think only American corporatism could have the hubris to think you're ever going to challenge someone's religious beliefs. And remember, it's a theocracy. This is the problem it had. Even if I believed that MBS was some unbelievable reformist and was going to radically overhaul Saudi Arabia, so in 10 years it was a progressive paradise. The problem with that remains that he gets pushed back. The guy who's ordering the executions and locking these people up, he gets pushed back from clerics in his own orbit saying, oh, you're too moderate. So I am very curious to know, because I'll tell you this, on this topic, I think I'm the only one who's ever even brought up Islam. People go, oi, 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 oi. But again, I don't care. It's part of it, right? Like, it has to be acknowledged. So when we talk about progress and influence, I don't know, guys. Like, do you really think you're going to change the Saudi Arabian state interpretation of Islamic law in the next, well, I mean, while we're all alive? This generation's the one that gets it done, is it? I don't think so. I don't think so. And while I agree, I wouldn't want to be isolationist from other cultures and everything all around the world, I'll also say this. Remember, we are talking about the government and not the people. None of this is about Saudi Arabian people. This is about the Saudi Arabian government and the choices they decide to make. Anyway, through ongoing dialogue, exchanges, and opportunities to coalesce around shared interests, making money, we might spark conversations and maybe, just maybe, even help inspire incremental change. Progress won't be swift and setbacks are inevitable, but in the meantime, we at Team Liquid believe the best way to create change is to take big bags of fucking money from the Saudi Arabian government. Why can't you say that? And then, and this is the bit that genuinely blew me away, because Steve, obviously if you're in the industry, you know Steve is a gay guy. You know, everybody knows, right? He's not secret about it. But I didn't know it was public knowledge. A couple of people have slipped up and said it publicly before, right? But to cape for Saudi Arabia and why business with the Saudi Arabian state is good, he's come out publicly. Imagine that being like the fucking predicate for it. And so as a gay man, I understand the pain of exclusion. However, as a US citizen, I know my struggles pale in comparison to what LGBT Saudis face daily. Yeah, well, yeah. Wish you'd thought about that before you fucking performatively said all that other shit. kind of just feels a bit hollow now. With full acknowledgement of this difference, here's what I know to be true for myself and my journey. Gaming has been a lifesaver for me when I felt I never fit in. Huh? Wasn't there another guy who said all the people saying gaming and esports is a bigoted, nightmarish fucking hotbed? Like, they're wrong. And I've been in gaming, and actually it's one of the most welcoming spaces for everyone of all different types of, identities, cultures, beliefs, backgrounds. When I was saying that, people were telling me that was my white male privilege, my white, straight, suddenly, male privilege. That's what you told me for fucking years. But I've stayed resolute to the message. Today, now that you're in bed with the Saudi Arabian government, an entity that actually does persecute people based on their identities and genders, right? Now it's like gaming's great. Gaming's a safe space. Gaming's the lifesaver. Wish you'd had that energy when you were raising money by pretending it wasn't. Now I can't believe anything you ever say again, Steve. Sorry. Even though there have been times when I didn't necessarily feel welcome within the esports community itself. By the way, I don't know why that would be true. I mean, nobody. It wasn't a matter of public record you were gay, so why would that be the case? Whatever. It's been a consistent source of joy and camaraderie throughout my life, and I'm sure that many of you feel the same way about how important gaming is in your lives. This is why we're all so protective of it. Team Liquid is in a position where we can bring that message to many more people as long as we continue to speak about it. They mean the Saudis. I'm not suggesting video games alone can save the world, and to that point, I've been inspired by the debate, comments, and fans holding us accountable to our values across the internet. At the end of the day, though, I maintain a belief in the transformative potential of gaming and sports. I hope sharing my thoughts sheds light on the perspective I had while contributing to Team Liquid's decision and why I remain personally optimistic. So, I mean, I hate to say this. It's probably going too far and I'm probably really out of pocket, but I think there's something kind of gross at putting it publicly on the record, you're gay, is essentially when you do travel to Saudi Arabia, knowing you're in a privileged elite group of money-making people that for the purposes of that, they will absolutely not do anything to you, and then that being implicit that, hey, they are tolerant of gays. I've come out publicly, and yet here I am in Saudi Arabia. It wouldn't be the same for you if you were in Saudi. It wouldn't be the same for you if you were a Saudi Arabian citizen. And I think there's something a little bit very cynical about the construction of this message, which I'm sure people are going to turn around and go, Richard, how dare you? No, I dare. I dare, because clearly nothing's off limits for any of these people in terms, as I wrote in my very first article. One of the things that happened in esports, because we let these team owners get away with terrible decision after terrible decision, abject failure, lie after lie after lie, attacking the press, attacking the public, participating with dodgy sponsors and engaging in dubious things. We let them get away with it for 15 years, and now they're incapable of shame. They're incapable of shame. It's not Steve's fault. He doesn't have a shame mechanism. It's not Victor's fault. He doesn't have a shame mechanism anymore. He's been in esports too long, getting away with it for too long. And by the way, they're not even the worst offenders. I on some level admire them, at least publicly, talking about the elephant in the room, while the rest of their colleagues who have brought this industry to this point, ruined this industry, are too cowardly to even do that. Too cowardly to even lie to your face. But this is just esports now. This is what it is. It's shut the fuck up. They drive now. No, we don't know who she is. We don't know how long she's in prison for. Here's the fireworks display. Life-changing money. And so, yeah, Team Liquid, arguably the biggest disappointment overall. But watch this space. As I said, when we get to the segment writing about Fnatic, big solid dose of they fucking drive now coming out from Sam Matthews. Lots of they drive now. And I guess, just hold on to that phrase. They drive now. That's all. We need to just make this the slogan because it's what they all hide behind. They drive now. Yeah, anything else going on in the country? They drive now. Any other interesting developments. Yeah, and I know people are saying, like, check the replies. Yes, obviously, the replies are... There's a lot of sickeningly fucking replies to it. Like, massive respect, you know, you've always had my respect. Big heart emoji. Like, no one's actually saying, like, no, you're sort of downplaying. When you say undeniably troubling, that's the same language you use about the Republican Party. It just... I don't know. But, again, it doesn't take much to win hearts and minds in esports. All you have to do is pander at the end of the day.